Hey, it's Bill, and I'm going to give my predictions for the Premier League 2021 with the PDC. Hey everyone, looking forward to the start of the Premier League. First block of 5 events or 5 matches. Goes from April 5th to April 9th, so Monday to Friday this week. And just, I waited to do the predictions, but maybe it's good I waited for the predictions. Because I did have Gerwin Price in my top 4, but just news came down that Gerwin Price will not be able to participate in the event, and based on that they have added James Wade, which I'm sure everyone who likes personalities on darts players was so excited. I can guarantee Barry Hearn tried every possible scenario to maybe not include him, but considering he's in the top 4 now, it would make sense in the order of merit. And I guess James Wade just replaces Gerwin Price, so that's really big news going in, because I think Price was one of the ones that I would certainly favor for. I know he doesn't do very good in the Premier League. Might actually be his curse, the curse of the Price Premier League. He just doesn't seem to do very well in the event. And if you think about what this costs, Gerwin Price, I guess he tested positive this morning. You're looking at a minimum of $25,000 that cost him, upwards of 250, 500,000 possibly for the win. That's just a blow. I feel sorry for Gerwin. I think the tournament, obviously Gerwin is one of the players that you'd like to actually watch. Yeah, just terrible news. I also just recapped the Super Series 2. I haven't done a post since then, but I did a little bit better. I doubled my score. I got 4 of the 10 winners, or the top 10 money winners. And obviously I did pick the winners in a couple of events: Johnny Clayton, Gerwin Price, Peter Wright. I didn't get Brandon Dolan, but that was a good event for him. But I also had Joe Cullen, which was in the top 10. So let's get into the event right now. I'm going to go through some of my statistics on what I think is going to happen. This Premier League's a really strange one. You've got some players that are in form. Not a lot, to be honest, but you got some players that are in form. If I take a look at the list of the people who are performing well, most of them are not in the Premier League. So, and you've got, maybe there's a mid-tier list which have sort of not really performed up to their standard, but they're not performing horribly. And then you've got just some stats that are just crazily bad, and they're in the Premier League, which is just crazy to me. But we can go through that. So first of all, let's look at the players that are in it. You have, now without Gerwin Price, you've got James Wade, Dimitri Vandenberg, Gary Anderson, Glenn Durrant, Johnny Clayton, Jose de Souza, Michael Van Gerwen, Nathan Aspinall, Peter Wright, and Rob Cross. And so what I'm going to do is, first of all, maybe give you who I think are going to finish in the top 4. I'm not going to, well, maybe I'll try to do it in order. I'm not really concerned about the order. But also going to be talking about who I think is going to get regulated or relegated and be gone on Judgment Night. And one of them might be a little bit of a shocker to everyone of who I'm going to pick, but we'll see. In terms of the top 4, if I take a look at the stats, what I've done is done a whole bunch of stats. So percentage per leg of 3 big triples. So 162 and up, 3 triple 18s is 162. If you score 162 and up, I'm getting that percentage by legs. Also taking a look at your doubles percentage, how you fare in the doubles, and then looking at your scores 60 or below in your first 9 darts. So I've extended that stats to include your low scoring legs as well, right? Someone like James Wade, is a little bit low on that, but he's typically 100. He's not a big 180 hitter. This year, Michael Van Gerwen not hitting 180s, but a lot of 140s, a lot of 135s, 120s, 134s. So I wanted to make sure that I was just looking at the lower, how bad you're performing when it comes to not hitting a triple or not hitting a big triple per visit in your first 9 darts. So taking a look at that and then ranking them, have got that done. And then what I did was I took I guess it's now 11 participants, but I didn't include James Wade in at the beginning, but I've added James Wade into the analysis, and it comes through that, probably not surprising, the best performing person is Johnny Clayton this year. He's number 1. When you take a look at the Premier League, the next person up, which is, maybe a little bit surprising, but Jose de Souza, big 180 hitter. Certainly not bad on his doubles. And then if you take a look at the next Premier League player that performs was Gerwin Price, but he's no longer in the event. The next one up would be Peter Wright. And considering Peter Wright just finally went to the right darts. Again, Peter Wright's going to be one of those ones, high variation, just based on what he's going to do and what he's going to throw on the day. But he's certainly performing well. I guess it doesn't matter what he chucks. Although, please don't chuck the whatever that was, a bomb at the dartboard. If you stay with those darts that you did the last event Super Series, I think you'll be fine. And then you take a look at, now you got your section where it's performing decently. So those are your top four, right? So if you take a look at what's below, I mean, not performing horribly. You've got, if I take a look at the next ranking up, is Michael Van Gerwen. He's 20th overall out of the 128 tour card holders for those stats. You've got James Wade, who's 22nd, so he's in that top range. And then there's another drop off, not as drastic of a drop off, but then you have Nathan Aspinall, who's 45th in ranks, Rob Cross, who's 46th, and then there's a really big drop off. It goes to Gary Anderson, who's 61st. He's only halfway in the bottom half of those stats, which is surprising considering I'm looking at big scores. And then Dimitri Vandenberg, who's 69th. And then there is a drop off of epic proportions until you get to Glenn Duran, who is 122nd. I'm not joking you when I say that. 122nd. There are people that are above him that would shock you in terms of stats. I know he's played bad. I get it. He has not been up to snuff. But if you look at 2021 on, if he was a new tour card holder, he'd be in a lot of trouble to retain his card. Like, that's how bad it is for him. So let's go to the predictions, and I've given you this. Now I'm going to try to give you who I think is going to be top four. I'm going to use some of my stats. I'm going to see how they play out. I was going to take Gerwin Price, so let's X him off of there. If I take a look at the top performer, Johnny Clayton, new to Premier League, is that going to affect him on the TV? Didn't seem to affect him in the Masters. He lost in the UK Open, but it wasn't a fantastic game where someone just destroyed them. And by the way, Dirk Van Dijvenbode, top of the stats. You got, even Luke Humphries up there. But I don't know if Johnny Clayton's going to be there. He's certainly in the mix, obviously, with Gerwin Price being taken out. My original pick was going to be Peter Wright, but I'm not going to take him to win it. So I'll take who I think is going to win. I think Michael Van Gerwen will win it. Typically does. I know that there's a lot of chirping going on between them, but don't see him not making the top four. And someone who really cares. I don't think Peter Wright cares if he finishes top. I just think Peter Wright will probably go, hey, I've got a lead. Why don't I try a new dart? So I've got Peter Wright. I've got Michael Van Gerwen. I'm also going to take Jose de Souza. Based on his stats, I know he's new, but I don't think anything affects that guy. I think he's going to hit 180s for fun. He didn't seem to not manage the stage, certainly in the Grand Slam. He's got some big wins, one over James Wade. I just like Jose to be there. And I was going to take Gerwin Price. So now I'm taking Gerwin Price out. Who do I think is going to be that last person in? And you know what? I'm going to go Johnny Clayton. Just on the stats alone, I think it would be a toss-up. And the name that I'm kind of tossing around that I think could do well, it could be Wade. I just maybe getting added in at that late stage. I don't know. Could be good for him. But the other one I like to see I think is going to do well is Nathan Aspinall. I just think he's going to do well. It's back on TV. He'll get up for it. If he doesn't get up for it, then I don't know what to say. So the people that I'm going to think are going to get relegated. Well, the first one's the obvious one, Glenn Duran. You can't. There's something wrong. There is absolutely something wrong with Glenn Duran. He can say there's something crept into his game in August. I saw the interview. I think he likes to be thinking he's the underdog, but his stats are atrocious. Unless something drastically changed between the Super Series 2 and to now, he's in trouble. And I think his first game is going to either tell you if he's going to do well or not, and we'll get into that in just a second. The other one that I think is going to be at the bottom, it's going to surprise. I'm taking Gary Anderson to get relegated. I saw an interview with Gary where he's not talking about going across to Europe, which is all fair. That's all fair, considering the situation we're in. I don't he's losing some bad games. He's losing now. Typically, Dirk Van Dijvenbode takes him out, but you got people like Andy Bolton eating his lunch. It doesn't. I don't see it. I don't see his game. I think it's slipping. I don't think he's in form. Maybe he gets in form over these 5 days, but I just see it. So I'm probably the only one who's going to pick that, but I think Glenn Durant. A lot of people pick him to get relegated. I just think Gary Anderson be relegated as well. So that means I'm not taking Rob Cross to get relegated. Actually, you take a look at his stats, it's not so bad. Dimitri Vandenberg, I think, is another person who's going to perform on TV. Nathan Aspinall, I've already talked about. Rob Cross, I don't think he's going to be as bad. James Wade's going to be consistent. There's no doubt about that. I don't see them getting relegated. So again, top 4, I'll go Michael Van Gerwen, Peter Wright, Jose D'Souza, and Johnny Clayton. To get relegated, I'll have Gary Anderson and Glenn Durant. Let's go through the games today, and then I'll post the video to see how I do for the days. But just on the day's events, I think the first game is your biggest game, and it might even be the biggest game for these two in how they're will they get relegated. But your first game up is the rematch from last year's Premier League final, which is kind of crazy to say that these two players are in trouble. But Nathan Aspinall against Glenn Durant. Again, I'm going to predict it. I'll get 2 points for a win and an extra point for a score. If I get it, I'm going to take Nathan Aspinall. I'm going to take Nathan Aspinall to win this one 7-4. I just think he's got a better game right now. I think it's a start. If he does lose this game, I'm scared. Nathan Aspinall's got a pretty easy start. He's got Glenn Durant and Dimitri Vandenberg. You're going to need at least 3 points from that for me to make sure he's not relegated. So I like, and if you look at Glenn Durant, right after this, he gets Johnny Clayton. He could be 0-2 real quick. So if Glenn Durant loses this game, I think I like my relegation pick a lot. If he doesn't lose this game, then maybe he's got a chance. But I'm going to take 7-4. Next game up, Rob Cross against Jose D'Souza. I just like Jose big time in this game. This will be a good test of Rob Cross's form to see where it's at. Jose's net new. Again, I don't think that guy gets fazed by anything. Emotion, he's just there. He played really well. He lost to Michael Van Gerwen in the UK Open, but he played a good game. But he took out also Michael Smith. He had a tough round there, including taking out Nathan Aspinall. So if you take a look at Jose D'Souza, I think he's just a better player. So I'll take him to win this one, and it'll be a win. And I'll take him to win this one 7-4 as well. The next matchup, I think, is your barn burner of the night. It is going to be a beauty. Peter Wright, Johnny Clayton. If we take a look at these players, both are in form as long as Peter Wright brings his right darts. So as long as Peter Wright's throwing a dart that looks like a dart, I think it'll be a good game. If he throws those torpedoes, then I'll give Johnny Clayton the win. But if you take a look back at their history, really great game in the Masters. Peter Wright snuck by, Johnny Clayton snuck by in the European Championship in the semifinals. Peter Wright got the win, but a little bit of miscounting by Johnny on that point. If you take a look at Johnny's Premier League history, he didn't play very well against Michael Smith when he was a contender, but his form is fantastic. I don't see him dropping off form significantly, and I think Peter Wright's form's good. I think this is your barn burner. So I'm going to take a tie. I'm going to take a 6-6 tie for this one. The next matchup is now James Wade versus Gary Anderson. James Wade stepping in. It could go either way. He wasn't prepared for it. All of a sudden, he's got to get in there, do his testing, get ready. Has he been practicing? Maybe he thought he had a bit of a block. He always talks about not wanting to participate in the Premier League, but he can get his feathers out and his tail feathers and do whatever he wants. So it might actually be good for him just to show up and chuck it. Might not be good. Don't know. It's going to be a big, highly variable match. But I do like him. I think just consistency-wise, Gary's not showing the consistency. Why I think he's going to get relegated. And I'm going to take James Wade to win this one 7-5. And the last match is Michael Van Gerwen versus Dimitri Vandenberg. I think Dimitri Vandenberg has the poise and the patience to at least hang with Michael Van Gerwen. He's going to slow it down, which we know Michael doesn't like. There's no crowd to get on him when he does do it. So again, that'll go for him. And then it'll be a closer match than people expect. But just if I know he hasn't played in some time, I think Michael Van Gerwen is going to try to put on a show. So I'll take Michael Van Gerwen to eke by on this one and win 7-5. So again, my predictions, Nathan Aspinall will beat Glenn Durant 7-4. Josie D'Souza to beat Rob Cross 7-4. A tie, 6-6 tie between Peter Wright and Johnny Clayton. James Wade to win 7-5 over Gary Anderson. In the same scoreline, Michael Van Gerwen to beat Dimitri Vandenberg 7-5. Hope you enjoy the darts. Let's see how I do. And we'll chat later.